All right. Well, I'm Lindsay Walsh from the Vantage Point at Mary Baldwin, and joining me today is one of our best and brightest Baldwin alumni, Miss Ash Balaji. And so, Ash, if you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about where you're working right now.
All right. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm an MBU alum. I graduated May of 2019. No, wait, yes. Sorry, I almost
Yeah, a
forgot.
year
A
ago.
year ago, yeah. So pretty recent. Currently, I work at the NIH where I do some cancer research. So I look at the role of the gut microbiome in the efficacy of cancer therapy. So that's pretty exciting work. And um, Mary Baldwin really helped prepare me for where I am today. So I'm excited to talk to you, Lindsay.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about that. Like, what were some of the opportunities at Mary Baldwin that helped you prepare for what you're doing at NIH? And for folks who might not know, NIH is the National Institute of Health.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. So honestly, Mary Baldwin was a very rewarding experience for me. The long-lasting friendships, the mentorships, and also the various internship opportunities that I could find in like the Augusta County region were really useful in helping me develop my like application and also just me as a person before graduating. So that was great. Firstly, the amazing connection. So everyone always talks about how Baldwin is a small campus and like you can always have like really close ties to your professors. And honestly, it's very true. You can really ask questions without hesitations, like approach your professors with ideas if you have any for your like either your future career plans or even any like paper you might want to write or literally any idea you have. You can just approach your professor like it's just a conversation between two like individuals, and it's really cool that you have that opportunity, and I was really grateful for it. Um, so also the science lab courses that we have really allow us to have like hands-on lab techniques and conduct experiments, which I honestly didn't realize a lot of other universities don't have that opportunity is because of their like big classes. A lot of the times their TAs will do the experiments and they won't be able to actually like physically have like a hands-on experience there, and honestly that's a very like big part of research, so it's really good to be able to have that in your undergrad experience before even going either to grad school or working. So that was really cool. And so like that actually really helped me from a small interest in research to actually like a passion for it where I can actually try to uncover different like mysteries of science. So that was pretty cool. Um, Also the internships, which is like great. So strongly recommend like every student to take part in any internship, even if it's not paid. Sometimes, you got to do what you got to do. It might be a little hard, but definitely look for paid internships because there are a lot of those. Everyone needs help with something. If you want to like help someone develop a website, that's a great opportunity. You don't have to commit to like in-person meetings if you don't have a car. Like these type of virtual experiences can actually be really like helpful and meaningful. Um, as I figure a lot of people are probably trying to help out somehow during like the pandemic as well. Um,
Yeah.
and they're actually really helpful in deciding if like let's say for example you chose like a career field, like maybe you chose business but you did a couple internships and you realized maybe finance was more your thing or maybe economics was more your thing, but you wouldn't have really known that if it wasn't for these internships. And it allows you to like translate from the classroom to like real world experiences, and that can really help you like decide what you want to do. And that is great. Like you can always talk to your professors. Vantage Point
Mhm.
is an amazing center. I definitely, because I know I went there a couple times, and I was like, I spoke to Nell, I spoke to you. It's always like, hey, so what do you think? And you guys always pointed me in the right direction. Like there are so many resources out there, and sometimes it's a little overwhelming. But you guys do a great job at like showing the student the like right direction or the direction that they want to go in, and then they just discover, and then you just you find what you want to do, and you just go for it. So
Yeah.
Mary Baldwin is like really great for that. So I'm like really grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little more about the internships. I know you and I were talking a little bit about your EMT work and how you were able to translate that even, when you left the Mary Baldwin community. But if you could tell us just briefly about the internships you had during your time at Baldwin and the things you discovered you did want to continue doing, and maybe some things along the way you discovered that weren't a good fit for you.
Yeah, of course. So like you mentioned about the EMT, I mean, we have the rescue squad like literally down the street from Mary Baldwin, and the first 2 years I was just like, that would be a nice thing to do for my community, but I didn't actually like get involved in it because of other activities that I had going on, because I was also involved on campus, which was always exciting. Um, so finally, I like filled out the application. I was like, okay, let's see what this is like. And it was honestly really cool because I did middle school and high school in India where we don't actually have this like first responder type of system. And so I wasn't actually familiar with the whole concept. I just knew that ambulances would go around and like help people. And I was like, I don't know how that works. So it was really cool to like first-handedly see that first responders actually like help respond to citizens who like actually need medical care in the beginning stages, and they stabilize you while you go to the hospital, which is I immediately like fell into wanting to help out as much as I can. And of course, like my passion for medicine, like it really helped give that a direction. And of course, when I left Mary Baldwin, the first thing, like literally one of the first things I did was, all right, let me find like an EMT station or like a rescue squad or a fire department for me to join. And again, it was literally down the street from where I work. So there's always going to be a rescue squad or an ambulance voluntary department um, very close to you in your neighborhood, which is great because that means we always have someone to help if you like need it. And so that translated outside Mary Baldwin as well, and it's very exciting because it just feels good when you're able to continue something that you have a passion for in some like form or the other. Uh, some other things that I had internships in were like most of my internships were science related and clinically relevant, since I am a pre-med student and going on that career path requires like a lot of such commitments. So I did do some internships, like I was at the hospital, I volunteered at their emergency department. I was also like in a cardiac and respiratory rehabilitation center. And some of these experiences, they were obviously every experience is meaningful in what way it like what value it provides to you because everything has a value. But to me, like being more hands-on was always more what I wanted. So like volunteering in a hospital and like talking to patients was nice, but I didn't actually get to see if I was like impacting them in any way. So I didn't really enjoy it, but I was grateful for how I could see the workings of a hospital, which was really interesting, and also one of the experiences that pre-meds do need to have. So that was cool. Um, but like even non-science related, I had some internships with. So I remember sometime during my sophomore year, I was part of like I was part of Bold my freshman year, and so that was more a lot about like community outreach and like finding out what role you can play in the community and how you can help. And I remember that I was pretty inspired by it, but of course, freshman me was just like, "Hi, gotta concentrate on my academics." So I was just a little bit not so involved. And then sophomore year, I became a peer advisor, and like, it was more inspiring because now you have like you have your peers that you're like helping like find these opportunities. So then like I reached out to the library. I helped like the local library, and I helped design their Facebook page, which was really cool. I didn't get paid for it, but one thing is I never really like I always look for like the values that I find in opportunities, and I know that some students don't have the opportunity to do unpaid internships, which is okay.
Yeah.
Always look for paid internships. If you can find them, go for it. But if you can't, sometimes it's okay. So it's just like a variety. Honestly, it's surprising, even though Stanton is so small. There are so many things you can do, and it's very fascinating. Any organization would like appreciate help. I know there's Habitat for Humanity that like always appreciates volunteers. I did Red Cross for a while, so there's that too. There are just so many opportunities, and you just have to talk to like your friends, your advisors, use anyone as a point resource, and it's really cool. So
yeah. Lean into the Vantage Point. We've got some folks. So
definitely lean into the Vantage Point. Yeah.
Well, I think what's really cool about what you're saying too is that although Stanton is a small community, there are kind of endless opportunities. And because of the size, your impact is almost greater. Than going somewhere like running on the EMT squad in a really urban place in Northern Virginia. The smaller the system, a lot of times the bigger the impact you can have while you're there, which I think helps boost your confidence. It adds really valuable experience to your resume, whether it's paid or unpaid. And as you're proving, it definitely connects you to opportunities once you figure out what that passion is and what you might be doing after Mary Baldwin.
Yeah, and that's another thing is sometimes if you don't get involved in like different opportunities, I mean, even like getting involved, for example, in campus life, it can help you understand like different aspects of your personality that you might have never like been able to divulge in because you just didn't realize you were passionate for something. And then even if it's not like related to your academic sphere, you can pursue it and it's really cool. Like I only realized, for example, my last midterm, I took a class called Permeable Borders with Claudia Bernardi and three amazing artists from South America. Yeah, the Chicas, they're amazing. And we like collaborated with the community LGBTQ center. We worked with high school LGBTQ students on creating a mural. So we represented their story through art. And I never knew that like that's something that I found was really cool. And so even though I'm not very artistically talented, I took a little part of that experience with me. And when I went to Maryland, I immediately looked for opportunities because the DMV is like a great place for like nonprofit organizations, social outreach, and that was one of the values that I had like obtained and like developed through my experience at Baldwin. I got involved in doing like health disparity research, worked with like local clinics to understand if there are any lacks in their like outreach to the community. Was part of a couple book drives. It was nice to be able to like understand that was one of the passions that I didn't really know I had until I like got involved in the campus, which was really cool. So definitely recommend that too. It's not only is it fun, you never know what you will discover about yourself. So
yeah, cool. A lifelong journey. I'm sure we'll continue discovering things, but
like always.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit, because I know you're currently working at the National Institute for Health, but we talked about your prep for MCATs and medical school coming up. So kind of thinking about having this year of distance from when you graduated, if there are current students or students that might have just graduated that are thinking about graduate school and specifically something in the sciences, what kind of advice do you have for students that want to pursue that?
Yeah, of course. So again, I'm going to come back to the internships. They are really, really important in at least pinpointing if your field of interest is what you want to go in. Because I know a lot of freshmen come in and sometimes you don't know what major you're like interested in, and you choose something. The only way to like really know is if you like take part in an experience that matters to you. So I strongly recommend that again. But definitely, in regards to graduate school, be sure to understand what field of study you want to go into. Is it something that you need a lot of years for? Like, is it a PhD program, med school, law school, or do you want to pursue a master's before you decide, like, for further graduate school studies? Also, look at if it would be better for you. Maybe you didn't have as much time in your undergrad career to develop your experiences. Maybe for you as an individual, it would be better to maybe take a gap year, like work, and maybe you're stressed out with college. Like I took a gap year because I was just like, I need a break. So I took a gap year, and it's awesome. You just, you have the experience of living like an adult, basically. For a year.
Yeah. You're doing it.
I'm doing it. Yeah, it's still shocking, you know. It's been a year, but it's still like, wow, I'm here, right? But it's definitely helpful if you need that break. Take it, like your mental health, your happiness. It's really important. Definitely talk to your advisor, see if like the school that you want to go to is a good match for you, and always conduct like research about the schools you want. For instance, like not only should you look at their stats, obviously that's important, like GPA, if you're taking the GRE, the MCAT, or the LSAT, see how the scores compare. But you also want to see if the school itself is a good fit for you. Like maybe maybe you're applying to like the top schools because you're a good student, or maybe you're applying to like other schools that you want. But always see if it's a good match for you. Like if you get into a school in like Wisconsin and you don't like Wisconsin, you know, that's not, you don't want to live there for a couple years going to grad school.
Yeah.
If you don't like cold weather, take that into account, you know. It's also very, especially for PhD programs, I know it's very important to like understand the lab that you might go to work in, because that's going to be a huge part of basically your whole like 5 to 7 years of research. You want to make sure that you like the environment that you're in. So that's like very important factor in considering your grad school opportunities. And also very important is to take advantage of your close connections at Baldwin. The professors that you've engaged with, interacted with, get close to professors that you really like appreciate, that you really like find, I don't know, some connection to, and that way when the time comes you can ask for a great letter of recommendation. And balancing schoolwork along with application might be, you know, it's always hard, it's undeniably hard. So if you're taking the GRE or the MCAT or any like such exam during the school year, try to take it during the semester with a lower course load. Don't take as much credits as you normally would. If you are, take some easy classes, prepare for that when you're preparing your 3-year plan or your 4-year plan. Talk to your advisor again to see what would be best suited for you. You know your learning style, so if you need like 6 months to study for a test, don't worry, take it. Somebody else might need 8, somebody else might need 2, but we're all different people, so we need to understand that we need to gauge ourselves and see what we need. And sometimes it just might be too overwhelming during the semester. So in those cases, just take it in the summer, and that way you can just get it out of the way before your semester even starts. And yeah, just you also want to understand your interests and passions so that grad school doesn't, they know that if they don't take you, it's their loss. Like it's a huge loss for them. And you should know that too, is if a grad school doesn't take you, that's their loss. It's not on you. Because you're truly passionate about the subject that you want to be in. You're motivated to work hard and meet your goals, and that's all that matters. So that's about all the advice I have, because I'm going through it too. So maybe I'll be more helpful once I'm in it. But it's just my 2 cents.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really important though, right? You have to understand whatever your passion is for why you want to pursue grad school, because your professor can't make you want to show up to that lab in year 3. Or if you know that you're a warm weather person, that Wisconsin grad school is probably going to be the best fit. So
Exactly.
it's important to know your academic interests and pursuits, but also some things about yourself and what kind of supports you're going to need when you're not in the classroom. So that's a great point. But all right, so we're coming to the end of our time here. So tell us, you took this gap year and you've been working. What advice do you have, and what can you tell us about your job search when you secured your position at the National Institute of Health? Like, how long did that process take? What materials did you need to compose? And if you have any advice for someone that's just graduated, give us some of that information, please.
Yeah, of course. So for the NIH, it was kind of very long, kind of tedious, kind of like an elaborate process. I know. So there's this portal that you submit your application into. It's called, so you basically just look up post baccalaureate research program NIH, and you will find a bunch of like, there are also a lot of like helpful videos that help, lay out the steps to completing your application. And the major parts are, your personal information, your undergraduate institute, that information, You
Mhm.
can even you don't even have to have graduated to apply to the NIH, but you need to have like a date for approximately when you're going to get your bachelor's degree. The post-bac program. There are also summer internship opportunities that you can totally take part in. Totally forgot about that actually. I will touch on it after we speak about the job process. Um,
Right.
but basically, and a very important portion that I just briefly touched on previously was the letter of recommendations that you have to ask from your professors. So I believe I had to submit 3. So I
Mhm.
got 2 from my science faculty, and I had done a summer research the summer before, so I asked my PI from then to write me a letter, and so that I had that done. And for some reason, all of these like intense job processes have huge essays that you have to write about like your passion for what you're doing, if you have an idea of what research you might want to do. And it might seem a little overwhelming because, it's just like, I have to write this essay, otherwise I'm not going to get the job. But it's just,
Mhm.
listen to yourself. You've been through a lot of, I mean, by now, if you've listened to me, you've done a couple internships, so you know what it's like to understand the field that you're interested in, what you're passionate in, and in regards to essays, that will definitely make it simpler. You can also, I recommend starting your application. If the deadline says March 31st, try to start it like, maybe December or January. Even if you're not finishing it, you can look at it for 30 minutes a day, see if you need more information. And when you ask for recommendation letters for job search processes, you always want to give at least 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes even longer. Luckily, we're at Baldwin where our professors are very close to us and we can just, give them 2 to 3 weeks notice. But if you are asking for a recommendation letter from a current employee or an employer,
Yeah.
or another person that you did research with, you might want to reach out like 1 month in advance or 1.5 months, and you want to send periodic reminders politely so that they remember to submit those letters. Um,
Yes.
and once you have the application in for the NIH, you actually have it's a huge database apparently. They like just shuttle those applications into them, and then PIs can like look into it and see if they want you. But there are a lot of applications. So then you're not done yet after you apply. You want to
Okay.
reach out to PIs that you're interested in. So you want to reach out
Mhm.
to scientists that you find like your research interests align to. Maybe you really like their lab environment. Reach out to a couple other people, and you might not hear back from a lot of people. But that's why I always say quantity when you're doing job search, even if it's not related to the NIH. For instance, I have a couple friends who applied to computer science jobs,
Mhm.
jobs in. I had a friend who applied for like a business job and like a couple journalism jobs, and they definitely
Mhm.
applied to as many as they could. Uh,
Mhm.
as quantity first, and then if you get more than one offer, then go for it. Like, be selective, do what you want, choose what
Mhm.
you feel inclined to. And then after you get all of that in, you'll finally have someone reach out to you. Someone will respond. Don't worry, don't. It might take a couple of weeks, but it's okay. Someone will get back to you,
Mhm.
and they will ask you for a convenient time for your interview. And most likely, if you have an interview for the NIH you're in, if you got an interview and
Nice.
you just be yourself, you talk about why you're interested in the research, and you're basically in at that point.
Hmm.
Then, of course, because it's like a governmental job, you have a
Sure.
lot of background checks and you have like identity card processes that take a while. So to actually like see the job posting and get the job, it probably took like 5 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it takes a while, but it's not all jobs, right? That's just this one. Some jobs don't take as much time. Uh,
Mhm.
some jobs take longer. It
Yeah,
depends.
'cause the average job search is actually 6 to 9 months, like from when a job is posted or when you start searching to when you're going to secure and show up and like get that first paycheck. So it's
Wow,
pretty typical. I
that
know.
is pretty typical, huh?
Hmm.
And another thing that I heard from a couple of my friends is that if you are applying to a job, it's always nice to know if, like, nice to understand if you have any connection to the organization or if you
Hmm.
have someone. like who knows someone in the organization that you could like talk to. Maybe you can get some insider tips. Maybe you can call them and see how the application's looking. But it's kind of like an unsure process. It takes time, so it's okay if you don't get a response immediately. Someone will get back to you, and you just work hard for it, and you'll get what you want. So it takes time.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for that advice. And obviously, we have at least one Mary Baldwin connection to NIH now for other students
Yeah.
who apply. But tell us a little bit about those internships that you guys offer in the summer. Like, when are those posted? What kind of things should students be prepping in advance?
Yeah, definitely. So for those internships, it's actually really cool. You don't really need prior experience. So if you have not conducted research, it's okay. Even if you haven't done research like in your undergrad like classes or anything, it's fine because they actually even offer them to as early as high school students.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's mainly to develop your research skills. And the
Mhm.
process is very similar to how you apply for the post-bac job as well. Again, you have the portal and you do the same letter of recommendations. It's kind of shorter. It's more like 2 to 3 months rather than 6 months because it's for the summer, so they get back to you. The deadline for those is normally around March. And for people who want to conduct research, there's actually it's called an RAU, so it's a research undergraduate experience. And there are a lot of basically almost every university has a summer research internship opportunity. So I'm pretty sure there's a website for it. You can just go on, see what you're interested in, and then apply to as many as you want. And of course, rec letters and the whole process again. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're coming right up to time, Ash. So, any last words of wisdom or what, I guess, well wishes for the class of 2020 that just graduated this week?
Yeah, class of 2020 is. I'm sorry you guys didn't get an in-person graduation, but the fact that you guys like it still didn't stop you. I mean, you guys all achieved a lot. A lot of you are my close friends, and I'm very proud of everything you guys have achieved, everything you guys will achieve. And I just want you guys to be happy and like celebrate your success because I'm proud of you. You guys are proud of yourselves. Your family's proud of you. So just like bask in the joy and glory. Just like enjoy yourself, be happy, and that's all I have to say in regards to the graduation. In regards to any other students who are watching this, is just like keep going, keep working hard. If you ever need support or help, always reach out to someone that you trust. Um, Never like feel like you're alone because you aren't. There's always going to be someone to help you, and Mary Baldwin has wonderful opportunities and resources that you can always reach out to, and just keep pushing and you'll get there. You'll if you feel stuck, don't worry because sometimes everyone feels stuck and we're all going to make it, so it'll be okay.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, Ash. Best of luck with the MCATs,
Oh,
and
thank
we'll see
you.
you back on campus at some point in your future. So,
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
awesome.
All right.
All right. Bye, Ash.
Bye.